Welcome to the Money Healing Podcast. My name is Nadine Zamot, and I will be your financial empowerment and abundance coach for the next 20 minutes or so. My mission is to teach you how to ditch scarcity and embrace your most delicious fuck yeah life. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the Money Healing Podcast, and thank you so much for being here. Today, we continue on the theme of healing through joy, but today we're going to get a little bit specific and we're going to talk about healing through life purpose. And you know what? To summarize, well, I know it's the beginning of the episode, but yeah, let's just go into the summary. Why don't we? I believe that our life purpose is to co create and collaborate with the universe. But this comes with a little caveat, which, well, maybe a few little caveats, which I will be disclosing as I go along in this episode. But first, let me share this story with you. Back in 2015, and maybe if you're maybe you know the story, but there's a twist to it. Back in 2015, when I was traveling in the US for the first time, I had my biggest spiritual awakening. One minute I was walking along the Mississippi River and enjoying the breeze, and then the next minute, boom, I suddenly knew that I was meant to help people release their financial disempowerment. In that very moment, I had something bubbling within me that was deeper than a belief. It was this absolute knowing. And within that knowing, it was clear to me that my mission started not next week, not next year, not when I do this. No, my mission started here and now, right? The second I received all of this, that's when my mission started. And that my mission started with the lessons that I myself had to learn and embody first. And the other thing that became very obvious for me in that I kid you not, it was a very intense moment. And that moment I also knew that living in New Orleans was the first step for that mission for this mission to happen. And guess what? At the time I was living in Melbourne, Australia. So it was, yeah, it was a big thing for me to be like, oh, and I have to live here. Okay. And in making that happen, in making the move to New Orleans happen, I will be learning a lot of lessons, which will become the foundations of what I will be teaching. So, fast forward a few years later, I was living in New Orleans, and I went to this. I'm not sure what it was. I think it was like a second-hand store or whatever, and they were selling antiques. But I stumbled upon Deepak Chopra's book, The Seven Spiritual Laws of Success, and I had another like bam in the middle of the shop, because the seventh law of success, according to Deepak Chopra, was the law of Dharma, which is the law of life purpose. And that's when I was hit with this other thunderbolt, which is I wanted, or my mission was to help people become financially empowered so that they can align with their purpose. And I went down the rabbit hole from there for a few years. And from there, I came to this conclusion, which is pretty much what I've been teaching you. What is this episode number 65, 64? So if you are my student, or if you've been, following this podcast for a while, you'll know that this conclusion is actually what I live and breathe and teach. So, the conclusion that I came to is that money trauma or our money wounds can often get in the way of us actually following our life purpose, and that our life purpose is expressed in practical, emotional, spiritual ways. But if we have money wounds that are unresolved, that can stand in the way of expressing our life purpose in whichever way we want. And we're going to get into these later on. And when we start healing our money wounds, we will not only become more abundant and attract money, but we will also get access to more aliveness, fulfillment, alignment, connection, and resilience. And here are some of the things that I learned along the way that I really want to share with you. First thing is that you don't have to quit your day job to live in alignment with your life purpose. I'm going to say it again. You do not have to quit your day job to live in alignment with your life purpose. You do not have to be a spiritual healer or a teacher or a coach or none of this. You can still be an accountant, a real estate agent, whatever it is that you do. You can still do that and live in alignment with your life purpose, because guess what, y'all? Your life purpose is an emotion, it's an energy, and it's a spiritual path. It is not your job title. You can be whatever you want to be, or you can be a spiritual teacher, but you are in misalignment with your life purpose, right? Like, it's not because you are spiritual you are in alignment. You can be an accountant and still live in alignment with your life purpose. I keep saying accountant because I used to be an accountant, and well, I worked in accounting. So anyway, so your life purpose is not what you do, it's about how you do what you do. My life purpose is not a money coach or spiritual teacher or an abundance teacher or a somatic practitioner. This is one of the hows of how I express my life purpose. As a matter of fact, you don't even need to monetize your life purpose for it to be valid. The second thing I want to share with you is that following the path of your life purpose is actually a choice. And it's not, like I said, it's not a job, it's a devotional practice. Okay, it's a devotional practice of being intentional with alchemizing your pain into peace, power, purpose, and prosperity. It is a practice, and it never ends. It's not like, yeah, I'm done. I'm done with this. It is a devotional practice, and it's a choice. You don't have to go down that road, but if you do, it's not going to be all like rainbows and butterflies. Let me tell you, it is, like I said, it's a devotional practice, which means you need to be devoted to this, which means you need to see yourself through the ups and the downs, because the reward is just undescribable, or is it indescribable? One of these. The third thing I wanted to share with you is that after doing this work for years now, I truly believe that our purpose, first and foremost, is to take care of ourselves, is to take care of our well-being. What I see often, and I am the first to raise my hand here, is that when we have gone through a challenging childhood or any challenges in life, we do get this sense of like we can help people, like once we feel like we've surpassed these challenges, or if we have this thing in us where we want to help people and we really want to help people transform and change and heal, we start thinking about putting people ahead of us. And we might really fall into that martyrdom kind of thing where we're overdoing. And what I keep seeing with my clients is that the way that life purpose is marketed in the coaching world or in the spiritual world, it's putting us into cycles of A, debt, and B, overworking, right? So please, just remember that it is a beautiful thing if you want to go down that road, but please remember that the first and most important thing for you to do is to take care of yourself first. To take care of others, you have to take care of yourself first. So in CFA, we look at three types of the expressions of our life purpose. We look at the practical, emotional, and spiritual expressions of life purpose. I'm going to dive into one of those because it ties into that third point that I just made or talked about, which is taking care of ourselves. Okay. So the emotional expression of our life purpose is really about, before anything, our purpose really is to make sure that we are okay, mind, body, and spirit okay. And this has to come way before we take care of anybody else, before we even take on the mission of purpose, before we do anything. We have to make sure that we are helping and caring for ourselves first before we take care of others. Okay. And let me tell you, we all have emotional wounds. And I feel like people are in two groups or cohorts or camps at the moment, where people are like, yeah, I do have wounds and it comes from childhood, and they're fully in acknowledgement with that, and that's cool. But then there's the other group of people that deny that they've ever been wounded in childhood, because on an unconscious or maybe conscious level, maybe saying that they had emotional wounds in childhood to them feels like it's sacrilege, like they're saying really bad things about their parents. But let me just tell you that if you kind of feel like maybe you do have emotional wounds and they came from childhood, just letting you know that you were probably raised by humans, and humans make mistake, and it's normal. Okay, it's fine. You're not putting your parents in the naughty corner when you when you, what's the word, not declare, but oh gosh, I forgot the word, but when you just acknowledge that you may have emotional wounds. Okay, we all have emotional wounds, y'all, and you've heard me say this before, but there is no such thing as like, okay, I'm healed, check mark, next, what do I do next? Healing is a journey. Okay, but here's what happens when we don't do, or when we don't work on healing, or when we deny the fact that we may have emotional wounds, childhood or whatever. We then expect our work, our boss, our partner, our kids, our clients to make us feel better or to validate our pain. This can make the void even bigger. And this is how we start leading from scarcity, actually. Leading from scarcity, or living and giving from scarcity, is exactly this. It's when we don't mend this wound within us, and we just go about unaware, right? And we just expect everybody else, including our work, whether we work for ourselves or we're employed or whatever, to fill that void. And the more we look on the outside to fill any emotional void or spiritual void, the bigger the void is going to get. Okay, so let me give you this example. Maybe you're like me, but I personally did not grow up feeling safe and secure at all. At all. There were wars outside and wars inside the house. It was horrible. So for me, safety and security, they've been two very deficient emotional ingredients since childhood. Okay, so the way I look at it is that perhaps because my body didn't grow up with these emotional ingredients, it doesn't know how to create them. It doesn't know how to even find them, seek them out, or understand when it is actually safe. If it doesn't know what it feels like, how would it know when we're feeling it, right? So my body and my nervous system, actually what I feel is that they are both conditioned to home into scarcity and threat as a protective mechanism. So it's this negative bias mechanism where because it's scared of, well, I'm scared of scarcity and threat and all this, my nervous system is conditioned to notice it and not notice abundance and not notice safety, because it needs to see what it needs to protect me from. Okay, so, my purpose personally, before I serve my clients, before I even feed my dog in the morning, sorry, Arby, she's like, what? Before I'm even nice to my partner and say good morning, I make sure that I provide myself with safety and security, just because I know my particular body, my particular self does not know how to create that for myself. Okay. So it is my duty of care to do that for me before anything else. Okay. And that is what makes me effective as a friend, as a partner, and as a practitioner. And the trick here is I don't wait for these external resources or any external resources, including money, to feed my deep well of needing safety and security. I do it myself, and it wasn't always this way. I actually worked with my coach, Kat Lee from Empowered Curiosity, and she is, before her, I've worked with many people, but she is the first person that made me feel really, really safe, who mirrored safety, who made me understand what safety feels like in my body. That's why sometimes when we don't know what something feels like, you know, we need someone to help us with it. Okay. So, That is a practice that I do time and time and time again. That is something that we do in CFA. All of CFA is about this. Okay, so my emotional life purpose, remember we have three types of life purpose: practical, emotional, and spiritual. My emotional life purpose is to be responsible, to always feed myself with this emotional nutrient so I don't rely on the world to supply it, and because this is my personal definition of leading from abundance and not from trauma. Because my personal definition is of scarcity is actually leading from that deficiency of emotional nutrients. So that is my third point, which is our emotional purpose is to take care of ourselves and giving ourselves emotional nutrients that we're missing in childhood. So let me ask you this. These are some questions that I have stolen, borrowed from CFA for you. Okay, so maybe grab a pen and write these down or join CFA. So, what is something that you sorely missed when you were growing up? Maybe it was a value, maybe it was an energy, maybe it was an emotion. What is something that you commit to giving yourself no matter what? What is an essential emotional ingredient that you can never go without? And what is your relationship with that word? Did you have a lot of it in childhood? And what comes up in your body when we think about this word? So for me, the word maybe freedom. Freedom is a value that I sorely missed when I was a child, okay, and a teen. So what comes up for me, right, when I think about this word is me running down like this field, like a desert, right? But it's not just any desert. It's White Sands National Park, yo. So very specific, right? So this is the image that comes to me. The relation that I have with this word is like my contact with nature. I smell even, I smell like the trees, or I smell the desert, or I smell the ocean. And the next question is, did you have a lot of it in childhood? And no, I had none of it in childhood. And when I connect with that word freedom, for example, this is an example I'm giving you, what comes up in my body is this expansion. So expansion feels like an openness, a lightness, a giddiness, a happiness, and like a part of me wants to giggle. So that is coming up for me. And maybe connecting with any dreams or hopes that come up for you. Maybe my dream is to live next to White Sands National Park one day. Okay. That is a dream of mine. And then what is the energetic signature that is opposite of that word? Not from the dictionary. Okay. So for me, the opposite word to freedom is restriction. Okay, maybe that is a dictionary definition, but to me, it feels like I'm being held back. I feel that word in my wrists, right? So where do you feel the opposite of that word in your body? And when you connect back to that yummy energetic signature of the emotional expression of your life purpose, look at how you're living your life. Look at if you have any hobbies, any work dealings, any connections or activities or relationships that, or even practices, spiritual practices or workouts or whatever that enrich that in your life, right? So when you start thinking of it this way, you don't have to quit your 9 to 5 job if you don't hate it. Right. So I've got a friend of mine who used to be a client, and she's just getting into real estate. She's like, oh, Nadine. Oh, she calls me Nadine. It's so cute. Americans call me Nadine. So Nadine, I know it's not very spiritual to be a real estate agent. I'm like, oh my God. Knowing what you know, and because we've worked on her life purpose when she was my client, I know you're going to infuse whatever you do with that life purpose. So your soon to be clients are very, very lucky. So these are some of the things that we explore in either a one-on-one coaching container or in CFA. We also explore the spiritual expression of our life purpose through a couple of exercises that I channeled. And these exercises were designed to help us get really intimate with our values and our soul desires, because that also will help us with the expression of our life purpose. So, how can our life purpose create this healing, right? So the title of this episode is Healing Through Our Life Purpose. So here's the thing, y'all. Healing is not easy, as you know, maybe, I'm sure you know. But when we start connecting our healing journey with our life purpose, that creates more continuity and more resilience, because it gives you a goal, it gives you a higher purpose, it gives you motivation. It's a really, really good coping skill. Okay, so coping skills, I don't like the word coping skills. I would maybe use the word soothing skill. It's a better, like, I like that better. Like, it's a way to soothe, to know that there is a bigger purpose to all of this, and that one day you will alchemize your pain into power and purpose. And it's a really nice feeling to have. Personally, it really helped me because it gave meaning to something very painful. It protects the spark from going out, even when things are really, really hard. It also reduces stress, which makes you more resilient in the face of challenges. So I don't know what year it was in, but they've done some research and found that people that believe that they have a life purpose, or people that intentionally pursue their life purpose, have higher resiliency, and they actually have higher income because they're more motivated, and they have like higher well-being in general, right? So I do feel like it does reduce stress, and it makes you more resilient, and it helps you bounce back from setbacks. So that is exactly what resilience means. It really promotes emotional regulation and co-regulation, and it has this grounding influence in times of emotional distress. And like I said, it does enhance your well-being, and it does make you feel more alive. It's so rewarding, y'all. Honestly, like seeing the light return in my clients' eyes, how their posture changes, how their smile becomes brighter, and how they grow more confident as they start reclaiming their power and begin understanding the mechanics and the magic of money. That is an amazing and indescribable feeling. And I know that I am only able to take my clients as deep as I have ever been. And to heal my trauma, I had to go way deep, to hell and back, as they say. But when I see the changes and the transformations in my clients, when they tell me how they feel more confident now, more empowered, and more resilient, it makes everything worthwhile. Okay. And I know that I'm never just, like I said earlier, okay, I'm healed. Let's keep going. All right, whatever. I know that there is more to heal. And you know what? Here's the thing: the bigger your goals, the more layers you're going to have to unpeel and heal. Okay. And when you're looking at it as this is your life purpose, when you're going at it from this devotional practice, it makes it all worthwhile. So it's not just about helping people. This is my choice. I want to help people as a coach and a practitioner, but you don't have to do that as well. Like, you don't have to do that. It's just, it's just knowing that you are serving people just by being yourself, just by being your most authentic, shiny, sparkly self. And even when you're sad, even when you suffer losses and sadness and depression and ups and downs and hormones and whatever, just being authentic to that is actually inspiring, and it inspire resilience in others just by being you. Okay, so to wrap up, living in alignment with your purpose, it means being devoted and committed to creating your fuck yeah life. I love that. Your fuck yeah life. Even when things are hard, it's about self-care through doing the hard work of looking at your past, befriending and loving your whole entire self, including your past traumas. Accepting yourself fully and wholly. Not just when you do this, I will when. No, now. It begins now, today, okay? This is a practice of challenging what you believe about your worth, and to trust your intuition no matter what, and being committed to doing the work and growing by doing hard shit, and taking care of yourself by giving yourself what your caregivers didn't or couldn't give you, okay? You grow by doing the hard things, and also through being compassionate with yourself and taking care of yourself by giving yourself what your caregivers didn't or couldn't give you. Yes, I repeated myself because this is important. Provide yourself with the unconditional love and the emotional nutrients and the care and the compassion that are your birthright. And from that energy of true abundance, you help others heal, expand, and elevate. Thank you so much for joining me today on the Money Healing Podcast. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you would like, come and join us in CFA. The doors are open. Hit me up, send me an email if you have any questions. And we would love it if you were to leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts if this resource is helpful. I will love you and I will leave you and I will see you next time. Bye for now.